Hello, I'm Guy Eternal, and I am a friend of Loyola. I'm on Loyola's Second Life campus, and I want to talk about preferences in Second Life to optimize your experience. So, under Me, the Me menu, I can click Preferences, and there are a lot of different tabs. You can see the tabs are on the left-hand side. We can start with General. One of the things that you want to take a look at is I want access to content rated, moderate. Adult isn't on here because we don't allow adult content, and we've told Second Life we don't have adult content on our island. Um, but you might want to just choose general, sort of a G rating. Um, Name tags on and off. Name tags above your head, so you want people to know who you are and what your name is. And then this is, what are you going to stick inside the name tag? Your name, any groups that you belong to. Pressing the letter keys affects movement. So W is like up and A is left, as opposed to once you start typing, it starts a chat. If you want to start a chat, you have to click here and the click here to chat. Um, that's what I do. I like to have this because I use my mouse right-handed. You probably want to put timeout to never because when you're using it, if you minimize it, come back 20 minutes later, you don't want it to time out. Um, and a busy mode message if you're busy or away, somebody gets a message that about you, but I just leave that as the general. The tab graphics is really important. Right now I have my graphics up really high because the machine I'm using is fairly decent and it can handle higher rendering. But for any computer on Loyola's campus, any lab computer, you're going to want to put it on low. And you can see that certain parts of the environment changed very quickly. Some of the textures haven't come in yet, and we don't want to low as it just sort of dropped all the settings. We don't want to leave it as this. There are some places where we have particles, which are sort of like explosions, little things. We make fire with particles and such. So max particle count, you want it to be up at least to 1,000. It doesn't have to be higher. Also draw distance. This is how far out away from you can see. So you won't be able to see very far unless you put this up. I wouldn't put it up higher than 128 because what you're saying is this is how much I want on the screen at one time. In fact, I might put it down to 96. This is another important one. A lot of times when you're walking around, um, objects will sort of they'll become destroyed or something. They'll just look like gobbledygook, and then you walk close to it and it'll look normal. I can go show you an example of that later on, but the more non-imposters you allow, the fewer objects will do that. But you can't control which ones. So sometimes it's the most important object in the room that you're saying, geez, I really don't want, I really want to see that as being itself as opposed to being destroyed by its level of detail. For the level of detail settings, down here, mesh detail for all these different objects. Terrain can be low. I mean, you can put it up a little bit, but you really want avatars to be up at least to mid because that's who you are. And trees and flex prims you probably want to bring up a little bit as well. And I probably bring objects up a little bit too, because flex prims are whenever you have anything that's sort of bendy, and you want to give it a little bit of that bendiness. So I'll hit apply. It won't change very much right now in this environment. We still haven't gotten these textures in, but that's when I hit OK, it'll probably refresh. Sound and media is an important one. Master volume, mute when minimized. So when you minimize the application, you aren't going to hear people talking. If you're going to be doing voice chat, you want to make sure that you've got this up. This is voice chat off, voice chat on full. So you want it up and enabled. Here there's a little thing. It's toggle this to toggle speak. You can just press the button, but I use the tilde right underneath the escape key. So you click set key, and then it says, well, what's the key? And I press the tilde, or this, not the tilde, the little dash. Also, if your speakers aren't working, you want to take a look at input-output devices and make sure that it matches whatever you're using to speak. So Logitech USB headsets are something that we use a lot at Loyola. So you want to make sure that that's set for both of those. Don't allow the default. The default will almost always be wrong. We won't go through all these different things. It's not necessary. Chatting, your font size, maybe you want to be medium, small, or large, because you can see that when I set it to be large, this text gets bigger. When it's small, it's smaller. Show IMs and tabs. This might actually make it a lot easier to manage if you're talking to 5 people at a time. Turn off speaking. Then you can have sort of tabs like this for each person as opposed to lots of different windows. So I mean, some of these things we don't, the view angle and the distance from your character, you can play with it. Whatever you want is fine. Notifications aren't really necessary, or colors. Only my friends and groups can call or IM me. You might want to turn that on. That means random people can't start trying to connect to you or whatnot, send you messages. Setup is really important. If you these two, the maximum bandwidth is how much data can come to you across the network at any one time. Second Life will limit how much it allows, and then the cache size is how much of what you see is saving. So sometimes it actually works for you to drop the cache size down, because what that means is that Second Life is going to constantly bring in objects fresh as you go back to certain areas, which slows things down, and you need more bandwidth for it. But it solves certain kinds of problems. It solves problems like being able to teleport around, because Second Life will say, "Oh, you've already been there. That space is already like cached, so it won't let you teleport there." Whereas if you drop this down, it'll say, "Geez, I can't remember anything about that. I better teleport them there." I like to keep it up because it keeps all the information about. It keeps as much in memory and not streaming down as possible. It gives you a better experience. You could take maximum bandwidth and drag it all the way up here. If you don't limit Second Life at all, that's fine. That's great. You're going to be able to draw a lot down, but you're also going to have problems if everybody's drawing stuff down. Basically, you want to make sure that your whole class synchronizes on this. If everybody's going to set it to 10,000, then everyone should set it to 10,000. Everybody should have the same number. Because if one person set it here and everybody else had it down to 500, one person would be getting great performance and everyone else would be getting really poor performance. So I usually just leave it at about 2, so that I don't want Second Life taking up so much network bandwidth that the network folks at Loyola start raising their eyebrows and getting a little concerned about what Second Life is doing to our network or the impact it's having. And then advanced, the UI size. This is also just for yourself. If you drag this up, you're gonna I'd have to hit OK, and I don't want that. But it's gonna make all the buttons bigger, which means you lose space. You're gonna need a bigger window, but it'll just sort of make everything bigger so that you can see it. Also, I have allow multiple viewers enabled, but you really only want one. I have that for testing purposes sometimes, but I'd click that off. And then you probably want the advanced and developer menus up. So I'm going to leave those on, and I'm going to show you one last thing with the developer menu. We have one area that's an issue. I'm going to go to the Winterland. The fix for this is outlined in our document, our help document. But if you look right now, all these trees are here and sort of like a night sky in the background. But that's only because under the develop menu, I changed this rendering setting from automatic alpha masks non-deferred. Initially it was set to deferred, and if I click that, let's see. Okay, that's still overriding it, so that's good. If I take this off, now you see things are disappearing. There's this weird box here. So if you come to this region and you're looking at things and you're doing this, you're moving around and you're saying, whoa, this stuff is just disappearing and there's things appearing all over the place. It's because the way that these trees were made, they were made to render very quickly, and the panels in back of them are being told by the renderer, the application that actually draws what you see. They're being told to draw in front of these because these sort of don't have any depth to them. So the solution for that, if you find yourself in this case, and really you just want to set this and leave it on, you want the develop menu, and you're going to say, you're going to enable, you want a check mark next to non-deferred. You got to go back, and you want to uncheck deferred. And then you're always going to have, well, ignore that little blip there, you're always going to have good rendering. That blip was, I'm just too close to this tree. So if I go around. So that's it. Those are all the settings in terms of performance that you can do with Second Life to try and help smooth your experience, get better performance, and also make sure that these one or two special environments render properly for you. Thanks for listening.